Hey guys, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Um, I'm going to do a review of three specific setups we're going to highlight in the room every single day, right? And we're just going to go through the P&L of those trades. So I just want to go through and explain to people that number one, the setups are biased, right? But bias and target based, meaning if you're bullish, avoid the shorts. If you're thinking it's short, avoid the longs. Trade location still matters. But what this will do is break down on a daily basis what the setups look like, how you can follow along. It's non-dependent on me, quote, calling the trade, right? And how anyone using the software can follow along and make money trading without having to technically talk with me, right? And we do this in the room every day. So before we get started, if you need to contact me, yes, I do not know how to operate PowerPoint. I need to wait till my daughter gets in here and explain it to me. But there you go. If you need to email me, tradeandperform@gmail.com. If you'd like to ask for a 3-day pass to the room, email me. Ask for a 3-day pass to the room, right? But please, if you're not going to spend the 3 days in the room and you're not going to seriously look at it and try to understand what we're doing, don't waste my time or yours. It takes effort to get people into the room and to explain everything. So it's for serious traders only who are looking for an edge. Um, so let's move along and jump in, right? So number one, um, the first setup that I'm going to go through, I'm going to do it both on ES and NQ, and we're going to keep count, right, of the profits and losses. And we're going to do this just without bias at all, right? We're going to do it without bias at all and see how it's set up. So the first one we're looking at here is NQ. You can see at 8:30 in the morning. Now, obviously, yesterday was non-farm payrolls, right? It was open drive higher. And at the very end of this, on both ES and NQ, I'm going to jump back to look at Thursday to kind of show you the difference in the setup when there's actually rotation, right? I'm also only going through the strictest forms of the setup. Either with people I'm coaching one-on-one or just spend time in the room. I go through alternate entries that you can use in the room. It's simply purely up to you as to once you go away from the most disciplined form of the entry as to whether you not want to take the trade. So the first trade I'm going to cover today is an algo that fires that covers this triangle down, triangle up, right? So I'm going to put an arrow on it. I'll go back in later today and make the triangles bigger. So you can see here, this is a 15 tick Renko, by the way. You have to adjust the charts. We do that in the room for volatility. Very slow markets is a 15, medium speed is a 20, fast markets is a 25, and mega fast markets like back in March when we first had the virus breakout, you have to go to a 30. And so stops have to adjust accordingly, right? So the basic stop, I'm going to go through the entry, the exit, and the stop so you understand what we are looking at specifically. So the first trade that we are covering covers a triangle down, that's the red one, with a triangle up, that's the white one, right? And we're just doing that. It takes place within 3 bars, right? The stop is going to be 1 bar back. This bar plus 1 more bar. Now that's not there's variations on stops as you get experience, right? But this is how I'm going to measure the P&L, whether it's a winner, a loser, or it gets wiped out, right? And it has to be within 3 bars, okay? And I got to tell you, it's one of the highest win rates going, right? So let's go through and count them. Just do it simple, right? So notice I'm not talking about trade location, my bias in the market. I'm just looking at the signal and having the signal and the price action tell me which way the market might be going, right? So let's erase lines and start over. So this is trade. We're looking at triangle down or triangle up, that followed by triangle down. So you'll see right here, see how it went. So the trades, the highest stop out rate occurs before 9 a.m. So anything prior to 9 a.m., if you're trading, you have to accept that you might get a higher stop out rate than the other point. So you can see we started off here and went, I'm going to drop triangle up, triangle down. That's usually a money trade. You actually had to flip this. So you would have ended up taking a stop, and your stop would have ended up being right on this bar. So if we do it orthodox, right, and we go through the full setup, your entry on this, excuse me, Your entry on this trade obviously was open drive higher and you're shorting a gap up, so it's always questionable. But your entry on that would have been 14,629, and your stop would have been 14,639. So if we're not making any discretion, I don't know why anyone's shorting the gap up, but you're starting off minus 10 NQ points, right? To which you should have automatically flipped and gone long at 14,639, right? And your maximum favorable excursion from 14,639, if you nailed it perfectly, I'm not saying you would have been 14,665. So that's 25 points. So your second trade there would have been plus 25. Your net 15 for the day so far. So now you're looking for the exact same setup. So nothing sets up all the way through here, right? There's no triangle up, triangle down within 3 bars. This actually qualifies, and we were short, but it's not orthodox, right? So I actually took this short and got paid, but it's not triangle up, triangle down specifically, and I want to stay on that. And then again, you'll see this did not qualify. So for the entire, so as we're going through the day, your next setup on this trade would have been right here, top of the last hour. It'd have been triangle down, triangle up. Your entry would have been, depending on slippage and approximate type deal, would have been 14.6. Let's call that. Well, I really need to open that up so I can see exactly what that number is. Let's call it 14,697. And your maximum favorable excursion, meaning how far it went if you nailed the exact top, would have been 14,697 to 14,728. Again, let's just call that 30 points for easy math. That would have been plus 30, putting you on NQ plus 45 on the day, considering there was almost no volatility on that trade, right? That's good trading. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking that trade, right? Your first trade would have been a loss. Hopefully you avoided it because you figured out it was open drive higher. But if you took it, it was minus 10, right? Plus 30, plus 25, excuse me, which puts you net plus 15 for the day, and plus 45. The next trade that we're going to go through is going to be speed bar triangle down. So let's erase all this. Speed bar is an algorithmic formula, just tells me there's a relationship to how fast that bar was filled, and it colors the bar either blue or yellow. So what we're looking for on this trade, this is trade number 2. What we are looking for is simply any bar that has a speed bar followed by an arrow. Yellow, you want a down arrow. Blue, you want an up arrow. So these are 2 bars. So let's again start right out of the gate. Right? This technique again is going to fire more. You're going to look for this to line up in the direction you're trying to trade. Right? So this is the first trade right here. Again, the stop's going to be the blue bar or the yellow bar. Right? So this is entry number 1. And again, that was right at 834. It's not uncommon, so you're going to have to make a trading call on this if you shorted this. So technically, if you went long here, this is the first bar in the sequence, you never got stopped out on this trade. There's a lot of ways you can argue with it. I would just stay long that trade until it stops out. In this particular case, obviously the bias would have been long on a gap up on non-farm payrolls. It was a strong day to start with. So if we erase all this, and again, these bars print, they don't unprint. It's not like an indicator where like stochastics where it crosses and then uncrosses. Once it prints. It does not erase, right? So here's entry number 1. You did not get stopped out on that trade. Your stop would have been right here. It did not stop, right? So you had risk-wise, you entered at 40. Your risk was down to about 28, 12 points of risk. So this is trade number 2. Keep up with this. Trade type 2. Speed bar triangle. Okay, speed bar triangle. Your maximum favorable excursion on that, and you'll notice some of these are obviously going to overlap, right? Speed bar triangle. You would have entered at 39. Again, your maximum favorable excursion would have been 65 plus 25 points. Trade 1. Trade 2, right? So we're looking along, we're looking for a speed bar to line up with a triangle. Again, you'll notice not much fired. It wasn't very volatile yesterday. This would have been your next trade right here to the short side. I actually didn't disagree with it. That ended up forming a head and shoulders. It just didn't go anywhere, right? So there's just no rotation on a good day. So I'm going to show you this trade when I end here on Thursday where there's a lot more rotation, right? Speed bar, triangle down. Your entry would have been 14,632. Your maximum favorable excursion would have been about 14,627. It's only worth 5 points max. So we'll write that down, right? No trigger long, no trigger long. This is your next trade right here. Let's erase these lines. That would have been your trigger at 14,635. It's 36. And again, your maximum favorable excursion would have been 14,629. Again, it's worth about $120 a contract plus 6. And I understand it's the max you would have been entered to. I understand if someone would have stayed within this trade because it made total sense. You had a head and shoulders here. And if we had any volatility whatsoever, you would have had a good roll to the downside. No trigger to the upside, right? Again, it was late in the day. I don't know why anyone would still be looking for a short when we were clear trend day up. This would have been an immediate stop right here if you took it blindly. Your entry would have been, let's just call that 86. Your stop would have been, let's call that 97 minus 11 for the fourth trade. Again, you got to use some discretion. There's just no indication that we could push lower there. We're going to trend day up and there's no volatility. But let's just take it blindly and go, that's 25, 30, 36 minus 11 brings you to 25 net. If you took everything blindly and you covered everything perfectly, that's really important. Like, it's not really designed as a pure scalping tool. And I want to show you that trade when you have a little bit of volatility. I'm going to scoot back just a bit. So this is Thursday morning, right? And I'm going to go past 9 o'clock so that we can get rid of most of the noise, right? So here's the same trade past 9 a.m. because I don't want to do a whole trade review at 11:30, but this is the exact same trade, right? You'll see here, actually, there's right before 9 a.m. as well. So this one didn't really go anywhere, right? Kind of fed back on you. This one didn't go anywhere, again, before 9 a.m. This is just prior to 9 a.m. That was the first one that really gave you an extension. But look afterwards, where again, you're underneath the last push to the high, speed bar, triangle down. That trade right there is a 50-point trade. That's $1,000 a contract, right? When you come over a little bit further, this trade right here, speed bar, triangle down, excuse me. Speed bar, triangle down. Again, that's another 50 points. It's $1,000 a contract, right? I want to make sure I'm doing the math right on that. That's roughly 36. That's roughly, I'm sorry. Let me correct it. This one was 36 to 07, 30 points on this one. This is 30, this one's 50 here. So $600 a contract on a mini and $1,000 a contract on the second one. You'll notice you didn't get any speed bar triangles up through here to trigger you long. And if you pushed out just a little bit further, again, speed bar triangle down, again, that full extension just paid you. Again, that's another 30 points, right? This one would have stopped you if you took it for continuation, but it triggered you back the other way. Speed bar triangle down, speed bar triangle up. That's why it's important that you take your trades in series as they come along. If you're good at adding bias, that's fine. The trades tend to pay you. So that's a very, very high odds setup. There just wasn't a lot of rotation yesterday, right? Now I want to go to the last trade, and then we're going to do the same setups on ES, right? So the very next trade is the power bar. So those are the bars with little triangles on them. Power bar followed by triangle up. So you can see right out of the gate. So I'm only looking at these. I try to keep everyone on 3 trades. I find it's harder for people to master more than 3 trades. If you combine them with the patterns on the chart, even more powerful, right? So trade 1 here on NQ, this is Friday morning. This would have been your entry. excuse me. This would be your entry. Roughly, let's call it 34. You'll notice it did not stop. Your stop would be right back here. And your maximum favorable excursion on that was from 32 up to 64, plus 30 points on the first trade. Okay. With no other, I'll take that back. You had to have a bias, right? If I was looking for open drive higher, I don't know that I would have shorted that, quite frankly. And even if you had shorted it, you should have flipped right back around and gone long on it. There's not much you can do when there's not much rotation. And again, you're prior to 9 a.m., right? Again, small win here. We call that +5 on this trade right here, right? Again, technically, this is an entry, but I don't want to confuse people with the blue arrow versus the triangle, but very valid trade. I don't think I've missed anything else in here. We're now past 9 o'clock. Okay, so this is a good example where sometimes it's the right trade and it would just stop. Excuse me. I apologize. I went ADD on you guys. Let me go back here. I'm sorry. Power bar, triangle up. Forgive me. Let's do this one more time. Good at trading. My brain sometimes confuses me. So I'm sure it makes it harder for people to follow. Power bar, triangle up. All of these worked through here. This is power bar. Technically, that's the same valid trade right there. Power bar, triangle down. It was a speed bar as well. It was a valid entry. This is your next long right here. Power bar, triangle up, right? Now, you would have had to work against the head and shoulders. You've got to make a trading call as to whether you're just going to blindly follow the signal or add the trade configurations to your day. If you took that without any respect to whether we have a head and shoulders or any other kind of pattern on the chart, your entry there was 14,640. That actually just, your maximum favorable excursion was to the high of the day. It was 640 to 26. It was 60, 70, 86 points, plus 86, right? And, well, I'll take it back. I'll take it back because you would have entered 640, and there's a great likelihood that I might have attempted this short right here, right? It really didn't go anywhere. It went 86 to 77, and you should have stopped your trade out right there. Even if you took that trade, you should have had like a 86 short with about a 90 stop. It would have been a 4-point loss if you didn't know to cover it right there. But then you flipped long right here at 95, and that took you up to 40 and got you paid. Okay, so you can't make it any more direct than that. And for the day on that trade, depending on how you traded it, you were roughly up 106 points for the day, right? So I want to go back and show that same chart on Friday to Thursday where we had even just a little bit of rotation, right? So I want to cover that one more time. I'm going to not look prior to 9 a.m. I'm just going to cover these after 9 a.m. So if you look, if you did not figure out that we were going to roll down, you could have very easily taken, excuse me, it's not short, this long right here, right? And I'm going to say I would have taken a loss on that. Technically, you could cover that as a profit. I was actually short in here. So again, I do apply my bias to which way I'm looking, but that would have been a 45 against a 32 loss. I'm just going to say I would have taken the loss on that particular trade had I been looking long. I wasn't. I've been looking for some kind of expression down, but I was long here at 920. I do know that. Again, if you just took them in series, let's count that as a loss to see how we would have ended up on Thursday, right? So let's say I took the first trade was minus 15 on Thursday, right? This trade's long from here, right? That would have given me a 20 to 50 plus 30, right? There's another trade set up there, but obviously I would have wanted to be long from right at this point. So that's plus 30. So minus 15 plus 30, so that puts me plus 15 net on the day. Again, assuming everything's perfect. And then you'll see right here, you got power bar, which also turned into a speed bar, triangle down, right? And that entry, okay, so again, you're going to have to determine whether you would have closed that or not. I was looking for the push. The reason I was looking for a push was there's a support level. We didn't quite make it to it. It was actually just underneath here, but this is what I was targeting. I do use bias when I trade. So you might have, from the time you entered, right? So if I have a bias from the time I'm entering, I'm not going to close that trade out unless it violates the back of that bar. So I would have stayed in that trade and just hoped it wouldn't have stopped me out, right? So again, triangle, it was also a speed bar, triangle down, it had a lot of power. That would have rolled from 1427 down to 1471. I would have said I would have stayed in that trade. I had a monster day. That's plus 50. So now you've gone from minus 15, plus 15. Now you're plus 50, you're plus 65 on the day. Again, this is the day I put down on that small account trading 3 contracts. I put down almost 4K in P&L. And then you'll see again at the bottom, power bar, triangle up right here. And that gave you from, let's erase the line so it doesn't get confusing. $14,483 to $14,523. Again, that's another 24 points, almost $800 a contract. And again, you got set up right there on the flip. If you're looking for it to come back down, I actually would have been looking for the long here because of some additional information I would have given the room. I don't think I would have taken this short over here. The reality is the way I would have traded this, even though this was a decent short, is I probably would have attempted the long here, gotten stopped, and then come back right over here and taken the long right here. This is a 50-60 retrace off a pretty dominant move. You can see the positive volume came in there. I would have been praying for a pullback, which we got for the long, and that was 14, let's just call it 500, right? To 14,555 for another 50. Again, I had a monster day on this day. The trades just set up properly. It was pretty straightforward and easy to read, right? So what I want to convey to y'all is I'm following the same process. Is it totally 100% bulletproof? Well, no, but nothing is, right? But if I'm at location and I have a pretty good idea of which way I'm biased, like if you're long only, right, eliminate all the shorts, you can go back through the chart and work your long only setups, right? If you want to, it's a very rare market where we have zero selling pressure intraday on many days. That's fine if that's what you want to do. It's not what I don't have a long only bias. I like both long and short. I play both long and short, right? But the extensions are really monster. So now I'm going to take another moment here and go through ES. So let me find my ES chart for Thursday. So ES is actually on a 5-tick Renko because it was so slow. So I'm going to reload this to 5 ticks. It's not going to make much of a difference. There was just zero rotation. And I struggle with zero rotation markets. Everyone has their sweet spot. I like volatility. That's my thing. So I don't sweat not having this work. So let's just kind of go through. Let's reset this to the day session only. It does work overnight. We're going to do this to the day session only. There we go. So you can see the gap. There was no gap fill. You can see on ES it's actually quite straightforward. Power bar, triangle up. There's also a speed bar, triangle up. Off it goes on its way. That was pretty much just nailed it. If you could have sat through the mega slow grind, this is your next long setup. I'm not even going to count the P&L. It just went up. I was focused on NQ because I hoped it had more volatility, but that method set up all of them paid. Power bar, triangle up, power bar, triangle up, power bar, triangle up, power bar, triangle up, and they all gave you positive P&L. There were no shorts that triggered on that. There were no other actually algos that fired on that all day. That was it. That was your choice because I don't think we had triangle up, triangle down all day. You only had one triangle down, triangle up. It paid. It just paid on ES. It was just very, very now that I look at it, I'm going, wow, I should have traded ES. And so I'm going to go back in there and do some journaling for myself and improve that. And that's one of the things is not only is it just the system, but it's trusting the system. It takes a little bit of seat time, some learning. You know, when I go through and I'm coaching people, how do you trust the system? How do you work out the conflicts you have internally with what you're seeing so that you can get to profitability and stay in profitability? So now I'm going to go and do the same chart where we had a little bit more volatility on Thursday. Not much, right? Here's Thursday. So we're going to use a strict interpretation, and we're going to skip to 9 a.m. Right? The trades actually work there, but I don't want to go, well, don't trade in one place and then go through and count all the profitable trades when it does work before 9 a.m. It's just a higher stop rate. So here's 9 a.m. Right? So let's go through each of the counts here and see what it looked like. Triangle down, triangle up. Oh, excuse me, not qualified, not within 3 bars. Nope, nope, nope. I don't know that we got anything. They're just so grindy. So there's an adjustment you have to make on ES. This is mostly aimed at the guys in the room. You got ES can skip a bar and still get a valid signal. It's important that you know that, especially when it's slow. It can skip a bar for the whole algo to print. So like if you look, if we use that methodology to kind of come up with that entry, this would have been your first entry. Again, it's not okay on NQ. The odds drop on NQ when you do that, but it's just as strong on ES. Here's triangle down, triangle up, plus power bar up. That paid, right? You can see, and that was into the close. But even you go like, well, it doesn't look like it moved very much. Moved enough to get you to profitability if you're trading into that last hour, right? If you look, your entry would have been right here. Maybe not. I mean, 07 to 11, there's nothing wrong with it. It's $200 a contract. It just, yeah, you like to see something more dramatic, and maybe that's just the effects of me trading NQ. And then you can also see there just wasn't much else that triggered on ES that would have made me want to trade it. It just has had such a strong upside bias. Again, triangle down, triangle up. It skipped a bar. It did it over 4 bars instead of over 3 bars. But again, that was the end of the day, the prior day. This would have been the most valid entry where it skipped a bar and went up. You probably would have gotten jammed here. Like if we look at this realistically, and what you'll notice is it won't create a power bar, the bar with a triangle on it. When it works, you can really just kind of go up and power bar to power bar. If there's ways to not cheat, but to manage the risk as it's going along to determine where you're going to scale, including using your various entries and your locations from profile. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. Highly profitable. If you'd like to come visit the room, here's the email one more time. Again, my name is Simon. I'm a Trade and Perform Coaching. The cost of the room is reasonable. It's $99 a month. If you just want to view the screens, if you want the software on your desktop, it's $200 a month. I can't make it any easier than that, and it should pay for itself relatively quickly. So anyways, tradeandperform@gmail.com. Hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend. Guys, very good day Thursday. Friday got paid, but not so much. And looking forward to Tuesday, guys. And hopefully a little bit of two-way markets. So talk to you later. Have a great night. Bye. Yes.